All right, great. So I'm very excited actually to talk about this topic. It is huge. It's a huge topic. We're going to be talking about the hips, the psoas muscles, and the pelvic floor, and the whole pelvic area, and how it relates to anxiety. Huge, monumental topic to talk about. So I'm going to do my best to be very succinct and give you the most value and information that I can, but I'm also going to write something below in the description. I took my time to write it, so it's probably worth a read, okay? And if you don't know who I am, my name is Arnold Joseph Lescano. I have gone through an intensive healing journey from, social anxiety, depression, trauma, leading up to where I am today. And it led me into getting a degree in psychology. I went into the world of pickup and dating advice. I even became a monk for 5 years, and I got a degree in theology. But the biggest thing that I gained was going through bioenergetic analysis therapy, learning about Dr. Alexander Lowen's work, the body-mind connection, and also going through his therapy itself. And that's where a lot of this information that I'm going to give you guys comes from, okay? So let's get into this really big topic, and let's begin with talking about the hips and the pelvis, okay? So how does it relate to anxiety? All right, well, first of all, let's talk about the importance of this area when it comes to potty training. All right, we're going deep. We're going back into your potty training years. We're going child developmental psychology here. All right, when you were young and you were potty training, you didn't have control. You didn't have control of your pee and your poo. And I didn't either. Okay, I'm going to say we. We didn't have control of our pee and our poo, and we were just letting it happen. Eventually, as we were going through potty training, our parents, most of the time, were like, no, stop, especially once you had some success. Okay, I didn't do it. And then, dang, I did it, right? And there's a lot of trauma that happens from our parents getting angry at us from that time. From that time where we weren't able to stop ourselves. So that affects this whole area down here. That's traumatic experiences from way back. You probably don't remember it. I don't remember it. I do know that for me, it was very tough to pee in public. Like if I go into the bathroom and somebody else was there, I was like, dang it, man, shit. Let me pretend to wash my hands. Or I would, what else would I do? Or I'd go to the toilet. I go to the toilet and be like, okay, dude, and wait for them to leave, because I was so anxious and I couldn't pee. I couldn't pee when somebody else was around, and that had to change, So that's an issue where it comes to the pee and the poo, all that type of stuff, working those sphincters, and by us getting screamed at or yelled at or shamed, many times we just learn to tighten that, to close it up, just like, how dare you pee in this? Oh no, okay. And then you learn, I have to tighten, I can't poo, I can't pee, I'm gonna make my parents angry. No, and that's scary, dude, to anger your parents at a young age like that. The people who provide for you, the people who love you, all that type of stuff. So then you hold it tight, and that tightness becomes chronic and continues throughout your life. All right, we're not going to go too deeply into this topic because there's also another topic where it comes to the hips and the pelvis that happens to do with sexuality, right? Genital stimulation. Like, let's say you're a baby too. That's another thing. If you're a baby and you're touching yourself, which does happen, it does happen during your development. You're like, oh, what is that? Okay, and then your parents are like, no, bad. You're like, okay, dude, and then a lot of tension happens here because of those experiences, right? Additionally, I know in my culture and in my family, we had really like 0 to 1% opportunity to talk about sex or sexuality at all. I think it was just like a book at some point when I was old enough. It was like, yep, this is a girl, this is a boy. Any questions? Nope, good. So sexuality and sex is like a taboo subject for many people and many cultures, right? So that really creates a disassociation from this area in general. It's like, wow, is this stuff that I'm feeling naughty? Is it bad? Is it awful? And then it's just like, oh, I can't feel that, or can I? I don't know. So there's just like this disconnect that happens because we don't talk about it very much. I'm gonna do a nice little writing about different cultures. You'll see that different cultures that that dance a lot and also that have a different understanding of sexuality itself, they have much less tension in their pelvis, in their pelvic area, and you can see how they walk, like a Caribbean girl or whatever, or like sometimes in Africa too, an African girl, like just the way they walk is much more graceful, and how their pelvis moves. Whereas over here, many of us are just like robotic, right? Robotic with our pelvic area because we're so tight, right? And we got to learn to release that. If we don't have it released, we'll be tight with it, and that'll affect us in many different ways. Mostly for just cutting off any feeling, any sexual feeling, and having a hard time enjoying sex. You will have a hard time enjoying sex if you don't even know if you're allowed to feel it, And then in our culture that is overly sexualized and stimulated up here, without really being able to have sexual feeling down here, if you do have sex, you may not even be able to bring it up. To be honest, like if you're a guy, you may not even be able to have an erection. It's very common, So I do need to say this, and I think I'm going to write it down below a little bit better. But talking about sexual feeling, while we're talking about sexual feeling and feeling sexy, and how this area right here allows us to feel sexy, and it allows for good sexual feeling and a sexual charge and all that type of stuff. What we're not saying is genital stimulation, okay? So feeling sexy is good. Genital stimulation can be good or can be bad. It can be bad. You don't always, there's times that you should not be having sex. And bioenergetic analysis therapy, in the bioenergetic analysis and in the therapy itself and in the practices and in the different postures and positions and all the stuff that we go through and all the stretches and stuff like that, there's no genital stimulation whatsoever. It's just working on different muscle groups within that area that allow for sexual feeling. Okay? And I do have a free video, don't know what it's called, but I'll link it below, that is specifically about the psoas. Nope, about the hip and pelvis, not about the psoas. Maybe I'll add one about the psoas. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do like a little mini course about this area, starting off with some grounding, working the way up, and then just doing a lot of this awesome work. Starting off light with the hips and pelvis, and then working down into the psoas, and then going into more expressive and more intense exercises to really release this area, because there's a lot of neuroticism that happens here. And I think it affects people probably the most. I just even, like, as I'm talking right now, I'm thinking about, potty training. Yup. I think a lot of people have issues with that. Sexual taboo stuff. Yup. A lot of people have issues with that. So I'm sure there's a lot of tightness in this area that all of us can use some release on. So I'm gonna work on creating that and giving it away to you guys. Maybe for free, or maybe for like a very little amount, so that you have some skin in the game, All right, cool. Let's go into the next one, the psoas. The psoas is huge. If you look at the psoas muscle and its relationship to anxiety, it's amazing, because the psoas muscle, when we get into an experience that is fight or flight or freeze, right? Fight, flight, freeze, and it's just like, ooh, boom. You immediately, your body just knows. Like, let's say something happens, it's scary, and your body has to make a quick decision of like, am I going to run, right? Your autonomic nervous system is just like, dude, gotta go. And immediately your psoas tightens so that you can get ready to run if you need to, right? Tighten back. So you can just go if you need to, right? So because of that, we have it both ways. So when a real scenario happens, and that happens, you get hit up with adrenaline, with cortisol, with the stress hormones. Everything happens, and it's good. It's a good thing for us when we need to do it, right? But when we're not actually in any danger, and we're just feeling anxious, and it just becomes a chronic scenario of our psoas being tight, it's letting our brain know that we're in danger. So it's interesting. Our brain does it to our psoas when we need it, but then if it becomes chronic, because our psoas is tight, it's sending signals up to the brain letting the brain know that, we're in danger. And it's doing that like every day. Every day that there's this tightness going on, it's just like, ooh, little danger, little danger, little danger. And we're filled with cortisol and adrenaline, and then we're feeling anxious inside, And this is another reason why I'm just like, dude, you have to work on the body. You have to work on the body, because I don't care how much we talk about this stuff. I could talk to you about it for 3 years. We could talk for the next 10 years. Let's have conversations about this all the time. If you don't work on releasing that area, it's not going to help. Your body's still going to be telling your brain to release that cortisol and that adrenaline, okay? So, it works both ways. And it's kind of funny, actually, in bioenergetic analysis therapy, Alexander Lowen talks about the language of the body. And he talks about people who have a lot of tightness in this area. And he says certain things that we call them, right? Number one, anal. Someone who's anal, right? So someone who's anal literally has a tight butthole, right? And we also call somebody a tight ass, right? A tight ass. It's like somebody who's anal has a tight ass, and they act a certain way, right? Because of their because of the trauma really that they went through, and because that they have a tight ass, and they're very anal people, right? And then we also have cocky, right? There's like the two opposites. There's tight ass, and then like maybe somebody's cocky, which they like cock too front, and then they're like over showing themselves, right? And it's just like, that's not good if you're like too far up, over showing yourself, or if you have a tight ass and you're too rigid, that's not good. And then also the opposite, where you're like a little far back, right? Where it's like you're like a dog with its tail between its legs, right? So this one's a little of more of a scared posture. This one's more of like a over showing type posture, a cocky. I'm not thinking of the right word, but it's just like too much bravado. It's just like that's really not a healthy person either. So really, what you want to do is release and have it that you're grounded, that your body is grounded, but that you're also able to freely move, that your pelvis is able to freely move, and you can enjoy every step and every movement. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So I think that's my take on this stuff. I think it's very, very important for us to work on it, and I know that there's so much more that we can talk about, but I think that's a good start. Just that knowledge alone, that it's just like, okay, yeah, there's trauma that happens in this area, and it's very important to start releasing the effects of this area. And it's not just this area. Obviously, this is just a start. This is really just a start, especially when it comes to anxiety. You want to work on this area, but even like think about the fight or flight response. When you do that and you got a fight or flight, right? Yeah, there's quick tightness and movement happening over here in your pelvic region, right? But where else? Just do it. Be like, okay, like dude, right here, right? Your shoulder girdle, your back, your neck. So if you're anxious and you have anxiety, probably from a traumatic moment internally, right? Where are you gonna have it? Where are you gonna feel it? You're gonna feel it in here, for sure. Up here, back here. There's places that you're gonna have to work on that aren't just down here. But I know that this area is very well known for anxiety, so that's why I'm doing this video. But I also want to let you know, you can start off here. That's great. Start with grounding, work here, and then also all those areas that I mentioned, and even up here, your voice, your neck, your throat, open up, because these are the two endings, right? What are they called? The tutor, the rooter and the tutor. The rooter and the tutor, right? And you could be tight in both areas. Most likely, if you were told to stop, like by your parents, like stop pooping, stop peeing, that's bad. You were probably also told when you were acting out or crying or angry or something like that, you're probably told to shut up, right? So it's just like you pee, whatever. It's just like like your parent gets angry at you. It's not the right way to do things, right? But whatever, it happens. It happens to a lot of us. Parents get angry at us. They don't know what to do. We tighten over here. Then later on we cry and they get angry at us again. And then we tighten over here. So we're tight at both sides. Both endings. We're just tight. We're just tight all over. And then we're just like all anxious inside. So we really got to work on our bodies to really heal appropriately. That's what I'm saying. That's what I believe. And I will stand on this mountain and die here. All right, that's a little dramatic. But yeah, if you want any support from me, feel free to mention something in the comments section. I'll try to respond as quick as I can. I also do offer coaching, and I do have a whole full body bioenergetic training for you. If you would like to go through that, click on the link below. During April, I'm really hooking it up with a really good price, so check it out. All right, nice talking to you. I hope you got value from this. If you do, give it a like and a thumbs up. Peace.